Black Lives Matter is out of control, and it's never been peaceful. How can these people be so unaware of their own actions? I have several videos that I'm about to play and go on a rant about. In the video I'm about to play, it shows a BLM organizer and her god-awful metaphor to compare the movement to repairs for a sea-unworthy vessel.
The Black Lives Matter movement doesn't mean that Black Lives matter more than others. We just won't stand idly by as people slaughter us with impunity.
Okay, nobody is slaughtering black people. This is a myth, and there's no evidence to show this at all. If cops are slaughtering black people, then there must be a genocide against white people. And if you think that the percents are what matter, and that they're somehow significant, then look at the ratio of crime committed by whites to blacks, then look at their percentages of the population. Do some simple proportions, then you'll see what I'm talking about. The slightly higher percentage in the statistic of blacks to whites is explained by this ratio. This data comes from the census, and it comes from the FBI. Links in the description. In fact, blacks are killing blacks far more than whites and cops are killing blacks combined. If black lives really do matter, here's a thought. Stop killing each other.
There are many misconceptions.
Yes, only show the protesting, none of the riots. You know, I don't remember feminism rioting too much, or at all, really. However petty those protests are, they're nothing like the riots of BLM.
There are many misconceptions about the movement, especially among older white Americans. It can be hard for them to understand, and even make them feel threatened.
Threatened by what? Equality? How would I be threatened by equality? Nobody is threatened by the rise of equality. People are threatened by the actual black people who insult them for being white, and sometimes they are violent towards white people. You want to see what I mean? This video is on their website, this New York Times website. It's graphic, so yeah, if you don't want to watch this, don't.
He runs to the opposite side. He has on a jacket, has on some light slacks, it appears. There's a trash can there in that pillar. Now he's kind of crouching down behind that. You see the SUV with flashers on.
Yes, I see that. And
Seems to be shooting from a different angle.
yes, he's shooting. You can tell.
And the person here comes someone running up. Shots are fired. He comes around the pillar.
Yes, it's obvious that the person who was shot in this instance, there's still shots going on, was unaware that the other person was there at that time. We don't know if one of these people is going to be a police officer. It's not unusual in a situation like this for a major event.
This right here. A black person killing white cops because they're white. And he blames them for everything, I guess. You call that a peaceful protest? There are shootings by black people on white people. Dare I call them hate crimes? And this one specifically, the Dallas shooting, is just one example of black people getting fed up with what they think is racism. And look at what it's doing.
So maybe it'll help them feel more comfortable if I explain the movement through sailing metaphors.
So only white people who go sailing will understand? Typically you use metaphors that everyone can understand if you want everyone to understand. Also, you're not making the people with aquaphobia very comfortable with sailing metaphors, so you should pick your target audience more carefully.
Think of America as a boat. Better yet, a Cantilena sloop.
For those of you who don't know, as I previously prophesized, this is a Catalina sloop. Although I prefer to see America as an Annabelle 2, because, face it, America's better than that dinghy of a ship.
Yanmar diesel engine, spacious cabin berth, the works. You'd want to protect that against leaks and cracks, right? Well, extrajudicial killings against black Americans are like a leak in the hull or a crack in the bowsprit.
Again, people who don't go sailing aren't going to know what those terms refer to, so that really doesn't help your case at all. And there is no epidemic of extrajudicial killings of blacks, or of extrajudicial killings, period, of any race. There are over 1 million police officers in the United States. To get 1% of police brutality, there would have to be 10,000 officers who brutally carry out their duties. Except we don't hear 10,000 officers who do so, do we? I dare you to name at least half of them. No, you see, the media is causing our attention to be focused on a few officers who are accused of being too excessive or using excessive force. It's not happening as often as you might think, so get over it.
Make the vessel unseaworthy and difficult to navigate. That's how racism in America prevents this country from moving in the right direction.
Racism? Is this more of that everyone has a subconscious bias crap?
Picture this. You're mooring your sailboat along the Key West coastline, and in the distance, a storm cloud starts rolling in. Those clouds are institutional racism.
I have to agree with you there. Look at this. Scholarships for black students because, quote, your heritage, ethnicity, and race is part of what makes you uniquely and wonderfully you. End quote. Why is white not recognized as one of these races that we need to celebrate? What about my heritage? What about my ethnicity? We should get rid of this institutionalized discrimination. I'm gonna side with you. Let's go protest together.
To best navigate the storm ahead, Black Americans stage protests, which is like battening down the hatches.
Oh yeah, like battening down hatches. That one thing where you do the let's see, battening down hatches. Let's see. Batten down the hatches to prepare for a difficult situation. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Well, there you have it. That's battening down the hatches.
Black Lives Matter movement wants to draw attention to the unjustified murders of African Americans, just like you would want to draw attention to an incoming squall so it doesn't tear a hole through your furling mainsail, which you love very much and want to protect.
Yeah, those unjustified murders of black people. You mean the ones black people are committing, or the ones that the cops fear committing? White men are more likely to be shot by a cop without hesitation, and you know it. Why? Because there's never a riot after an unarmed white person gets shot by the police.
Every time we hold someone accountable for unjustly harming a black body, it
is an example of the superiority complex inherently present in the name Black Lives Matter, which neglects to acknowledge the damage that black people are causing other black people? Or are you gonna make some other shitty boat metaphor?
It's like cleaning off a coat of slime from the bottom of your prop that's keeping you from carving through the Pacific at 28 knots.
Meh. I would have liked you a little more if you made video game metaphors like saying that there's a problem with my PC that's preventing me from playing at a beautiful 60 frames per second.
Understanding that black lives are not disposable and do matter and should be protected is...
If nobody actually cared about the lives of other people other than white people, the Geneva Conventions wouldn't be a thing and war crimes wouldn't exist. But we do care for human life. That's what makes us civilized. In fact, aren't you surprised that not a whole lot more of you black rioters are getting shot at for endangering the lives of residents and deliberately destroying property?
The same as getting one step closer to finally owning that 400-foot carbon fiber super yacht with 3 swimming pools, a helipad, and masts as high as the Statue of Liberty.
You see, the Statue of Liberty is our mast. But criminals don't deserve liberty.
Everyone should want that.
That's enough of that PR crap. Here's what Black Lives Matter really boils down to.
We begin this week with so much emotion and unrest all across the country after those devastating shootings. You see, some rallies, like this one in Minnesota, did turn violent over the weekend. Dozens of officers injured. This healing is going to be hard.
And we have so many striking images to show you. This encounter between a young woman and officers in riot gear in Baton Rouge. And last night, people asking for peace in Los Angeles, protesters joining hands, making a statement as the country mourns the loss of those lives in Louisiana.
Look at this, look at this. Two black guys and one white guy. Wait for this. 2 white guys. Wait for this. 3 white guys, and they're complaining about the 2 black guys that died. Okay.
And on edge after that deadly shooting Thursday night, with calls for peace and justice growing louder in protests and vigils across the country.
And how ironic is it that they're protesting for peace and justice and being dangerous criminals about it?
Fell on Memphis. More than 1,000 demonstrators took to this bridge, bringing Interstate 40 to a standstill for almost 4 hours. Don't shoot! Don't shoot! In Baton Rouge, where Alton Sterling was killed by police last week.
Remain disappointed in the Baton Rouge police, who continue to provoke protesters who are peacefully protesting.
In St. Paul, Minnesota, 21 officers were hurt during a rally, one of them suffering a broken vertebrae after a concrete block was dropped on his head. Police report protesters throwing fireworks, rocks, and Molotov cocktails.
And here come these disrespectful protesters. If they're not careful, who knows how long their safety can be guaranteed.
Nobody looks at you a hero.
And the white part that did it.
Just other races. I don't think nobody. The whole force said, oh my God, he's against.
Well, they're very thin-skinned.
Shut the fuck up. Y'all can't even accept realness. That's why I hate y'all. Y'all can't even be honest and say, damn, the man got a 60-year-old black son with an afro. He might get stopped for no. We hate him. He doesn't support. Somebody shot. Look, let's get him in the clip. Let's get him to the hospital square. You do this. Clear off that block. How many? This is how they stand in East New York. This is how they stand in Browns.
It's summertime. They're going to show their muscles. Calling out the violence of the racist police, and we ain't gonna stop.
And then there are these people.
They chanted and danced in the street, keeping La Cienega and Manchester Boulevard in Inglewood shut down above the 405 freeway for hours.
They know better.
This crowd grew unexpectedly from a general Black Lives Matter meeting last night.
It was a great turnout. It was really great.
Fumilola Fagbamila says there were hundreds of people who came out to make a statement about the racism she says is present in our policing system.
Remember, they're protesting the same event which caused the deaths of 3 white police officers. Just keep that in mind.
Folks are fed up. Folks cannot sit by and idly watch black people be killed by the police anymore without any repercussion.
How about stop being stubborn fools who don't listen to the orders of the police, and maybe, just maybe, you won't be shot at.
She wasn't part of the demonstrators who managed to block both sides of the 405 freeway for several minutes before CHP directed them back onto the streets. Few police officers could be seen, though. Inglewood Mayor James Butts says police kept a low profile for a good reason.
Spent our resources diverting traffic away from this intersection, north, south, east, and west. And every time you put hands on people, you risk liability.
That mayor is smart. That's a really good reason to stay away from the protesters. Just watch how this resident reacts to it.
I'm glad that there were not any interactions with the police.
This imbecile is like, I'm glad there were no cops around. And why would that be? It wouldn't be because the protesters are picking fights with the police as seen in the previous clip, right? Of course not. It's because there would actually have been a genocide. Am I right? Am I accurate? Because a black mayor commanding his police units to wipe out all the black protesters? Seems legit.
But in Louisiana and Minnesota, heavily armed police clashed with protesters there.
About 30 years, there's a big flashpoint in this country, and this time the dialogue needs to result in more than investigation.
And here's a clip from Vice News.
Blood, you are unlawfully assembled, and you will be subject to arrest.
Right here in this clip, you can see a lot of things happening, lots of dangerous stuff. You can see flares being thrown, tear gas. You can see it's just a lot of chaos. This is literally the opposite of how you peacefully protest. Look, there goes a flare, and then some Molotov cocktail gets thrown. Look at that. And then there's fireworks, and then there are gunshots you can hear around this point. Like, you're endangering people's lives. You're being reckless. This isn't how you peacefully protest. And then there are these guys taking cover.
Gunshots. You got me?
was going into one of the car washes.
We were then pushed back by police, and as we were walking back towards the McDonald's on the other side of West Florissant Avenue, we saw that Canfield Drive, which is the street that goes into the neighborhood where Michael Brown was killed, was filled with people. They set up a fire in the middle of the street. That's the right timing. They attempted to set a building on fire. Police pulled up, and a bunch of protesters dispersed as they came here.
We are where homes are located. We are where the children are in the bed. And this drama is truly affecting them for the rest of their lives.
There is no curfew. Why are they doing that? There is no curfew. They're sitting everybody. You see what they're doing? There is no curfew. The curfew's been lifted.
I'll put a link in the description that shows more BLM rioting violence. I urge you to check it out. BLM is a cancer and is only doing more harm to black people than good. Also, I'm sick of being called a racist, so you can add a level of saltiness there if you wish. Anyway, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching this rant of a video. Be sure to leave a like if you liked it, a dislike if you didn't, and a comment for feedback. It really helps. If you want to see more videos like this one, subscribe to stay updated on my future videos. Adios.